So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Andertons and the first public showing of the Mackie DLZ Creator. That's my podcast voice.
It's incredible, and you turned it on from nowhere.
Thank you.
Welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Jack, and this is...
Richard Ward.
Richard, thanks so much for being here. And let's get straight to it. What's on the table?
So, this is the brand new Mackie DLZ Creator, and it's a podcast, vlogcast, studio production, musician mixer, everything, the Swiss Army knife for the home guy that's doing everything that gets done in the world of media and production and creation in this day and age.
Yeah.
It fits all moulds.
It looks great. I know nothing about it. I knew you were coming in.
Yep.
What are the headlines on it?
Okay, first of all, the main headline is, how do you take something that's so capable of doing so many things and make it simple for the end user? So, first of all, we put a 10.1 inch screen on there. And, you know, I don't want to reference the iPad, but that's what we're used to in this day and age. Touch, 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 everything at your fingertips. This is how this is. But it's the essential part of setting this thing up. And what we've done is Mackie has a heritage of, obviously, a long history of studio mixers with some of the best mic preamps, mixers that some of the most unbelievably renowned albums that have been made in the world of music history will have been done on Mackie. And a lot of the stuff that was used then is in this. However, we're bringing it to people that there's going to be some people that want to be looking at this thing that are into music and into dB, frequencies, EQ, parametric. They'll understand that. And then there'll be a whole bunch of other people that just don't know and don't want to know. They just want to be able to switch it on, set it up and do a podcast because their mind's all about creation. It's not about control. So this can do that. And the way I'm going to show you, we'll dive in, but I just want to show you this first screen. And this is the heart of the machine. So it enables you to set it up in 3 different ways. You can be the guy that kind of just literally doesn't want to know anything, doesn't want to get bogged down with all the fanatical stuff of audio. That's easy. And then we have enhanced, which is a kind of a midway, a guy that maybe has had an analog mixer or a 4-track in the past or something like that, or just simply has been podcasting with a digital microphone plugged into his computer and is now moving into this world. That's for him. And the guy that's the pro, that's the studio guy, the podcast company, also the education guy in a big college who's running a school, teaching these people. He sets it up. And I'll be able to show you later on where you can even set it up and set all the parameters and then lock it out and put it back into easy mode so that when the students are using it, they can't even break it. It's pretty amazing. So we're going to stay in pro mode at the moment because that's the best way of showing you what's in the heart of the machine. And also at some point, I'm going to show you the actual setup process. But to understand that, you need to understand what it is it's actually setting up. So we're going to dive in first of all the features. So we'll start off with the overview screen. And as you can see, the overview screen, this is my mic 1, slight exclusive here for you guys. This is the new Mackie EM99B broadcast microphone. You've got one too. I'm coming in on channel 1. You can see my level there. You're coming in on channel 2. Hi.
Hi. And honest first take, I've spoken into a lot of these microphones. I mean, you'll judge the sound for yourself, but I love this little almost gimbal feature and the stoutness of it.
Excellent, thank you.
Official review.
Now, the way that this has been set up, I just basically set up, and the microphone channels are set up basically in default mode. And we can look at that right now. So if I go to channel 1, which is me, I have a preset built in for the EM99B, but just so I can look, I can plug a broadcast microphone in. I can do a call in, which I'll explain what that is later. A condenser microphone, a default mode, a dynamic microphone, an EM89D, which is another Mackie product, EM91C, etc., etc. But I've also got, and again, more to come later, instrument, line, music, no process. All that will be explained later. So they're just nice and easy presets. So even in pro mode, I can still simplify things just to quicken the process up. Yeah. I then can name the channel. I can give it an icon, which sets it up so it just makes it more simple to know what's going on when you're needing to make quick edits. I can bypass all the processing, which again I'll get into later, but just essentially seeing what that is, we've got pre and post production facility on here. So if you're doing a live stream podcast, you can have all the effects and echoes and all the various other things. But if you want to make the recording dry so that you can do edits later, you can do that all at the same time. So post and pre-production. Because we're in pro mode, I can switch phantom power on and off. I can alter my gain. I can set the level of the microphone automatically, which is what I did. I've got it set to default pan, and reverb and send is just off at the moment. So as I say, it's default mode. Then I move into the next area for the setup. I've got full EQ. Now this is full parametric EQ. And I'll show you later where, when I talked about the guy in college, for instance, who's setting this up for a masterclass, he can set up the absolute tweaked prime EQ setting for a mic channel and then lock it out, put it into its easy mode, and the students can just see an EQ like you would on a hi-fi, high, mid, low. They can't alter all the parametric, they can't ruin it. They can just accentuate the treble, accentuate the bass, or de-accentuate, etc., etc. You can do all that. Then you've got a gate. So, you know, you can hear me at the moment. This is kind of an open gate, but if I bring it across here, now 1, 2, see how much clearer that is? And that was just a simple swipe of the screen. But you can also see, this is what I talked about in the very beginning. We've got this kind of iPad control, tactile touch on the screen. But if you are preferred to be using tactile control, we've still got that. And everything is color coded. So you look there, it's blue. You know that these are controlling that. Okay.
My first reaction is I'm blown away by the screen, the viewing angle.
Yeah.
I've set a few of these, best viewing angle, and I love the slightly matte finish on it.
No, absolutely. Thank you. And also, I want to say, the screen has been dimmed slightly for the camera purpose, and it's actually a lot dimmer than what you would normally have it for the human eye. But even I'm looking at it at an angle on a dim view, and I can still see everything. So actually, for the millionth time since I've seen this and had this thing, it's impressed me once more. So yeah, good screen. Thank you. Also, I've got a compressor in there, and I've got a de-esser. So, and there you go. And they are all independent for each channel. Okay. So that's kind of an overview there of the heart of the machine. And then again, on each channel, I have an FX processor.
Cool.
And you can see it's kind of, again, to everybody out there, some of you, most of you will know what I'm about to say, some of you won't, but it's very plugin-esque. Plugin is kind of like in the world of computers, when you're using DAWs and software, you have different effects, different synths and all their kind of plugins. This idea is, it's a plugin. And I'm going to say it, there will be more. The product will evolve because it's digital.
Amazing.
All right. We have the reverb one there, and we have the delay. And again, because we're in pro mode, I'm able to introduce all this stuff step by step. But in the easy mode, which we're going to come to at the end, because I want you to understand what I'm doing and how it controls it all, you'll see how simple it is. But I've just added some send to the reverb, and there's my reverb. Cathedral. Let's do another preset. All. Load. Okay. Very warm. Welcome. Andertons is suddenly in a cathedral. We moved.
Hey, you let slip that you're a very proficient organ player.
Yes.
Do you have a favourite cathedral?
I do. Coventry Cathedral.
Coventry Cathedral.
Let's
cut that out and do a vertical video on that.
Okay, and also we have a delay processor. So I go back to my channel, do a send, and there you go. And we've got different presets. Let's do space. Load it. Okay. 1, 2. Ooh. Okay. Go back to the channel, dry those back out.
This does seem very luxurious. Just this size and
and the workflow is, you know, I should tell you, the product was launched worldwide on May the 18th. I had the luxury of, because I work for the UK distribution company that distribute Mackie, which is Polar, by the way, a little bit of an advert there for you. I had the fortunate of going to 2 trade shows prior to its release. One was the media production show in Olympia, and the other was the podcast show in Islington Business Centre, which has enabled me to meet these people that are in this world. And trust me, I've been in the music industry all my working life. I'm about 154 now, but I was 12 when I started playing the organ, and I've been into synths and drum and bass DJing and all sorts of things, but I'm starting again. I'm learning a new industry, and a new culture, and it's fascinating.
And you let slip the turnout at that.
It was like, I think it was 40 or 50,000 people across 2 days, and all of them hardly knew anything about the music industry, didn't really know where their local music shop was, but they kind of knew that they could talk to their tutor at college and he'd get them one from somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's how it's working. And so we've got a big job on our hands to educating them people. Number one, about the product. Number two, where to get it from.
Well, and to turn the focus of all that expertise into a new industry, all those years of high quality sound, but then into this brand new thing, and then people are coming in, they know they want more.
Yeah.
But it's a hard one.
It is.
You just want to get onto the internet.
Because they know they want more. They're not even sure why they want it. But when they listen back to their production, and bearing in mind, these people are like, if you liken them to an artist, they're some of the best painters in the world, but they don't have the best brushes. Right. So these are really creative people, and they think on the fly. And really, all they can channel their energies into is the content that they create. Mm-hmm. They need tutors, or they need people like us. You, the salesman, me, the salesman.
Well, I was thinking I was that person too. You said that I was a really good painter. I was like,
sorry, I didn't liken you to the painter. I was talking generic. But you know,
I'm drawing on my car outside, and he knows it. Wow! So we got full, just crazy, almost door-like control in this pro mode over every channel, right? And over things that we're bringing in. So we've got microphone, very clear headphone output. I saw 4 around the back there.
Yes, you have. Yeah. Let me talk you through that, actually. Good point. So the main, how do we bring everything from the outside world into this? So we have 4 XLRs, each with Mackie Onyx 80 mic pre's. Let me just quickly tell you about them, because this is the culture and the history of Mackie. So Onyx 80 was a series brought out, I'm kind of scathy, I'm going to say 10 to 15 to 20 years ago, but it was a range of mixers that came out that were digital, but a lot of the audio guys said, hang on a minute, this is great, we're now working in the same workflow as what we used to do in the old analog days. So i.e., if you put a bit of a lackluster distortion guitar into one of the mic pre's, you could drive it hard to give the distortion and bring the fader down. That was the law back in the analog days, and so many people had to adapt and undo that when the digital world came in. And Mackie went, no, we can stay in the digital world, but we can bring that culture back, and you can get back into your comfort zone and in the workflow. And they became famous for it. They're inside this. So I can do the same with my voice, but also, and this is why we call it the Creator, not a, how can I say this? It could have been called the DLZ Caster, for the road. See what I did there? But it's not. It's the Creator, because it is a creator machine. It's Creator for podcasters. It's Creator for vloggers. I've said this already, but a band can use this. Musicians can use it. A guy who's doing music production who wants to, gone are the days where, mate, I've got a demo and it's really, really cool, and I think you could do a great bass line onto it. Okay, so I live in Manchester and you live in Brighton. Let me come down. No, let me make a phone call and I'll play it to you over there, and you can try your bass back and we can see what it sounds like. Because I'll show you in a minute how you can do that over the phone. Yeah.
So you got those 4 XLRs, 4
XLRs. I do digress, don't I? So yeah,
that's the whole point of podcast, right? It's
right.
Waffle.
So I have 4 mic pre's. Then I also have 2 stereo left and right inputs, so 2 separate inputs, and they are on TRS jack. So let me just paint a picture. If we were doing a podcast with, say, a keyboard player, and we could have you, me, and him on 3 microphones, but his keyboard could be plugged in. So when we ask him, so what was the basis of the kind of licks that you were doing in the grooves? And you can start playing, and it's all going to come through. So you can do that as well. And then you've got, and this is really important for this type of product, we have 4 headphone outputs. Here's an amazing thing. This is one of the really key features of this. So that's 4 headphones, and each headphone can have its own separate headphone monitor mix. So, you can, if I'm the host, I can decrease me right down and listen to the 3 of you, or vice versa. And I can do all of that, whatever I want to do. And I just simply touch the headphone, and it comes through on the main overview channel. So you can see, I can set all the line levels of all the headphones. And if I actually go to a custom quick mix, I can mute. And again, I can give each one an icon, etc., etc. I can give it a color. So again, back to that kind of college situation where the tutor guy sets it up to be in its best position and then simplifies it all out, put it in simple mode, which you'll see, and everything's all done. You can't break it. It's all set. So yeah, very powerful feature, that. independent monitor mix for all the headphones.
Yeah, and as I understand it, differentiates itself from other products in this class. Yeah,
absolutely. Then we also have an auxiliary in on a mini jack, so you can plug a phone in or any kind of music media player or anything really that can go from a stereo separate to a mini jack. And then you've also got two media devices which can be both input and output, so they're USB and SD card. And I can show you on the USB card where you can bring in some samples, because there's a sample section on here which I'm going to show you in a minute, and you can import samples. You can make your own samples on the fly, and it even gives you trim the input, trim the in, trim the out, so you can make samples that are triggered from the point when you press the button. You don't need to go separately and outside of it to do all that. You can set the trim level, you can add effects to the samples, etc., and record them and store them on the USB or the SD card. And you can also use both of those devices as technically turning it into like a media hard disk recorder, because you can record your whole session directly to the SD card or the USB port, as well as, and at the same time as, sending it out to a computer via USB.
Can you record the wet and unprocessed?
You can. Yeah.
That's cool.
So this is this pre and post production. So if we go into master where it said recording.
I normally stay away. I'll be honest. I normally stay away from asking like questions like that when I do these reviews, because I don't want to put. I'm not here to grill anyone.
No, test
but like I do feel on this product, I'm like, all right, oh god, this has got the works in it.
Yeah. No, they've really thought about it, because again, in the world of broadcast and production, post and pre and post is a norm for them. So they've given that facility.
Or they've hybridized it. On some of these products I see, we've got, and it's like, oh yeah, but we've got a companion app. I like the fact you seem to have gone, and we've thrown it all in the box.
All in. Yeah, absolutely. So you can do a live cast with all effects, echoes, and all sorts of things going on for the world to hear, but your recording is dry, so that when you then archive that and put it out on your own podcast site or whatever, if you sell it to somebody or whatever, you can just do all the little final tweaks and tidy it up if there was anything needed to be tidy, which I doubt.
Yeah, and just so you know that you're hearing us, I'm sure Oz has warned you, but we're risking it. We're going.
This is on the fly,
straight out live.
Yeah. So as you say, we've touched on some of the internal facilities within the unit. There are many more, but we'll keep going. Mm-hmm. But I also now want to just point out to you, and again, you as an audio guy and all of us, you will understand this, but for those that you don't, with all these settings, if you shut your eyes and think of yourself in a studio with one of those massive, great big consoles with lots and lots and lots of line faders, in them days, you'd have one band coming in the morning and another band coming in the afternoon. So you'd have different settings for each, and you'd have a thing called a snapshot. So you record the snapshot of the setting, and that's when you go, okay, this is Duran Duran and this is level 42. Don't know where them two came from, but hey, whatever.
I wish.
It's my age. So this has them as well. So everything that we do, we can do a setting for a podcast where we're just having a chat with 4 people. And then, like I said earlier, you could be doing 3 guys and a keyboard player, or 1 guy and a band, and you can have all the instruments plugged in. You can set up all the different snapshots, save, and it all saves to the USB or the SD card, and you just pull them back. So this is where this thing is portable as well, because you can do that at home. We'll call that pre-production, and then go to the person's home and do the podcast from their home. And it was a simple fact of recall, set, go, right, we're on, boom. It'll do all that. And here we go. Here's some of the kind of real creation and fun tools. So we have a sample bank in here. You can see we've got 6 buttons. And again, much like everything on the DLZ, it's all, you can color code it so that you can do it from memory, muscle memory and all that kind of stuff. It comes with 6 samples preloaded, and they sound like this. Yeah, you want that one. And then you can do fun fact, somebody says something quite funny, so... And you can see I'm in the mode at the moment where I'm actually seeing all of the samples. But again, because, when you first use this, you're not going to remember air horns on number but 1. But even in overview mode, they're here, look. You can see them. And so on and so forth. And just as a bit of fun, I just loaded some samples in just so we can have a bit of fun. I mean, this is me. This is not internal in the machine, but it just shows you how versatile it is. So maybe we're having a kind of a fun techie conversation. I could start off the podcast by saying, "Are you ready?" And then the guy could say, "No." Yeah, or and when somebody says something they shouldn't, and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got sort of things like, you could be a little bit of a funky late night type of podcast. So And yeah, I was known in the DJ world as the king of cheese. But also, you know, like I said, you have to get away from the fact of locking this into that kind of podcast thing. It's just so much more. So it is actually a mini production studio as well. And so on and so forth.
Wow! So, that's exciting. I'm seeing you've got essentially music loops in there, and it
let me
says
show you
tap to edit.
Let me show you the edit.
This is I've not seen in a hardware unit
absolutely.
other than like MPCs and other things like that. You know, like coming into.
So what you can do is, say for instance, I mean these are preloaded samples, and I'll show you the edit pages at the minute. But I just want to remind you, you can, you know, I could record you. From channel 2 and make a sample out of something.
Let's do it. We always do one called Epic Deal. Can we do an Epic Deal? Is that right?
Yeah, so before we go there, like I said, if you hit the edit sample, you can trim the in, trim the out. So, because when I record you, you'll know that I'll go, are you ready? And then I'll press record and you'll say something and there'll be a millisecond of a gap, which then on a trigger, there's going to be slightly late. So as you saw from my samples here, especially when you're doing music production, it absolutely needs to be instant. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's where you trim it. But you can also add a fade in if it's a different kind of sample where it was a vocal kind of maybe one day, and you can bring it in and you can do a fade out and you can trim the level so you can get everything balanced as well. So that little section in itself is, like I said, it's music production. It's handy for a podcast to add some nuance to it all. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So I think at this point, with everything that we now all know on how this machine works, it's time that we take you right back to the beginning and show you where we start. So all of that you saw was in Pro mode, and I just want to show you this. So the channel EQ looked like that in Pro mode. Okay. I'm just going to go back one step at a time. If we go to enhance mode, okay, it now looks like that. So the EQ, and it's non-destructive. So like I said, when you first get this, and this is the mode we're going to go into in a minute, where I'm going to start the thing off in easy mode, you set it up from scratch in easy mode, and it's all simple, it's all very default. But if you're that college, and I keep coming back to that because this is going to be a thing, so many podcasters that I met at those shows I talked about earlier, they are actually jobs and they work for people. And the people that run the companies are kind of, you know, they're aged, they know what they're doing. So they would get this thing and probably set it all up in Pro mode, and they would be dreaming of the facility to be able to lock it all out and go, right, that's got the best EQ setting for that mic and that person, and I just want to give it to the person. He goes away and does what he needs to do on it, and he's never going to alter those settings. You can do it because this in enhanced mode has taken that EQ and just turned it into what I call a hi-fi S type EQ, bass, mid, treble. If we come out and go into easy mode, the same page is even more simple. It's just not there, which means you can't wreck it. But as I said, it's non-destructive. So if the EQ was a bit of a mad one where it was really top bass and no treble at all, that would still be the way it would be set. You just can't alter it. So
very cool.
With that in mind, let me now kind of, this is going to get rid of all my samples and take it back. But I want to do a factory reset and show you something that's kind of crazy. And boom, I'm on. There you go, we're back. And I'm going to just get you back on as well. So input source 2 is also an EM99B. So there you go, you're back on.
This is outrageous. And I know it sounds silly, but this is the first time I've ever seen a product that actually held the person's hand
literally
through it.
Yeah, literally.
I know it sounds weird because you know you always sit there. People, you go, oh, go on the website. We've got an instruction manual. This is the first.
Hey, we're men, right? We don't read instruction manuals.
Well, I think just anyone's not going to. But it's the first time I've seen that.
This,
really cool.
It is like having, I've been in this industry so long, and there's a title for a job out there for loads of companies called the technical support manager. He's built in.
Yeah.
So
wow,
redundant.
that's cool.
Yeah. So now, as you see, we've got input 2 set up. I just want to pause and just say, even though we are in this easy mode, it would allow me to slightly dive in. I can switch the microphone help on, and there you go. It's Mr. Technical Support Guy built in, explaining to me, make sure you speak closely and clearly into the microphone, etc., etc. It is a full-on.
I'm just excited by it. What's this listen and set for me?
So this is really cool. So bearing in mind we are in easy mode, we're the guy that has never really touched a mixer before. So going, even though it's not, it could be a bit quiet. I don't know okay, listen and set up for me. Testing, 1 2 1 2. Actually, it's you.
Testing 1 2 1 2, and it auto set the level. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Because explaining the difference between gain and level, even I get mixed up all the time, man.
No, absolutely. So then we hit next, and obviously there's only 2 of us, so there'll be set up for input 3. We can just leave it at an EM98 or just move on. Same. Input 4, same. And then here we go, an area where I haven't touched on. So this is a good way of explaining that. So the first 4 channels are aligned with those mic inputs I talked about and the Onyx 80 mic pre's and etc. But we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 and 12. So I talked about the input configuration, the 4 mic pre's and then the 2 stereo jacks or the 2 TRS jacks, and also USB and SD card, which can be used as inputs as well as outputs. And also it has an 8th jack mini for an input. So they are all assigned to those, and you can choose which channel you want which to go. So channels 5 and 6, which is this fader here, can be line input, which would be that stereo TRS jack input, or USB audio. Channel 7 and 8, that can be auxiliary, which is the mini stereo jack, or USB audio. And channels 9 and 10 can be Bluetooth from a phone or SD card. So we'll set that to Bluetooth. We'll do that one as auxiliary and that one as line. We haven't got anything to plug in, but it's just for the process. And then we hit next. And then additionally, we have headphone outputs, but if you were working in a studio environment, you could just have a monitor mix coming out of a set of monitor speakers, and it shows you where to plug them in. And then next, connect the 3.5-inch mini cable to input 7 and 8 because I told it that's what I wanted it to do. Believe it or not, if I hadn't have told it that's what I wanted, it wouldn't have told me to do that. That's how intelligent this thing is. And then I hit next, and it asked me to set the Bluetooth up, which I'll do. There we go. That's done. And connected. Why do I call it that? It's because it's my favourite car. And then it talks about the sample pad section, which we've been through. But again, if you imagine the first time you've ever seen it, there's a little bit of an explanation, what they are and where they are. Hit next. Output your monitors. Next. Congratulations, you're all set up and ready to go. And there you go. And then even after that, and we're used to this on the internet, when you're on the internet browsing for information and knowledge, you get pop-ups. We get pop-ups on this. Every single one of these buttons and features I can touch, and it will show me navigation bar. Next. Channel selector. You know, it literally is the full-on, in-depth, A to Z of the operation system inside the machine to talk you through everything. And it goes on quite a long time, so I'm just going to skip the tour. So, yeah, there it is.
Should we finish back on our other... Can we go back to what we had before?
Yeah.
Should we do that? Let's fist pump. Back in the room, and you're hearing us. Are we back in expert mode, advanced mode?
We're back in expert mode.
Cool.
But actually, the setup was actually done on easy mode. But I've just gone back into pro mode.
As you said, it's non-destructive, so you
exactly.
can, that's cool.
You can flip between the two, and it doesn't alter your actual setup. And the reason why I've wanted to go back into pro mode was, again, deep dive back in. So there's a couple of other facilities that this has. I already talked about the independent monitor mix per headphones. Here's a real interesting one. So if we go into Quick Mix and then come out and go into recording and routing, we have a facility here which is called auto ducking. So again, I want to appeal to the masses. So there'll be lots and lots of you know what ducking is, and there'll be some of you that don't. So I just want to explain it so you're on the same page. And I'm gonna explain it in a cheesy way. You'll like it. So you might have seen in your local pub on a Sunday evening some guy doing bingo call or quiz, and he might have a speaker next to him and also a DJ. When the music's coming out at you at 1,000,000 dB and he needs to make an announcement, he speaks and the music kills, and you think he's really good at that. He's quality. He's got like this invisible hand that's reducing the fader. It's not. It's called auto ducking. Lots of things have them. And that's basically it. If you've got an audio source and I speak, my audio source, my voice, this mic takes priority over that audio source. This takes auto ducking to the next level. And this is a cool feature for you podcasters out there. So I'm going to switch it on, and then I'm going to go into auto mix. And what auto mix does is we switch it on, and we have independent dynamic auto ducking on the 4 microphone channels.
What?
And yeah, this is cool. So for those of you that have done podcasts, you've probably been here before. I'm the host. I'm on channel 1, so I'm going to give myself high priority. And I've got 2 other people in the room who are quite softly spoken, they're polite, they don't interrupt, and they talk sense, and we like them. So we could give them high or mid priority. We're going to give them medium priority. The 4th guy, who isn't in this room, because we wouldn't have him in, but if he was, this guy is obtruse, he's obnoxious, he likes to overtalk, and he's a bit controversial with his wording. So we put him to low. And then without actually doing anything, we just would normally hide that screen away, but I want to leave it on. You're controlling the room, and he doesn't know that you're controlling the room, so he doesn't get even more angry than he already is, because if he's speaking sense and the 3 of us just remain quiet, his audio will be going out to the masses across the cast and into the recording at the right level. But if he gets a little bit angry and starts to swear and say things that you don't really want on your podcast, any of us 3, especially me, because I'm on high priority, I just start talking, and the friendly DLZ creator just ducks him.
Wow.
Pushes him into the very, very low levels of audio. So nobody can hear him.
Yes.
Apart from us in the room, and then he can finish his rant, and then he calms down again, and DLZ brings him back up again. It's such a cool feature. So it's dynamic auto ducking, and it's done internal on the fly, and it's just so easy, and another great feature of this.
Very great feature, and opens up my mind's firing now, because there's loads of different situations where
yeah. And in this page you can see I've already talked about the recording and playback facilities and various medias in which you can bring it. It's all controlled here. So the computer USB, you can send, again, it's all about post and pre-production, and Mackie's used to this. It's the world they have their culture in. So we can send the stereo master to the computer, or we can send the discrete independent channels. We can choose that. The disc recording to the micro SD or the USB card, again, you can send the stereo master or the discrete multitrack. And the disc destination can be set to micro SD or USB, because we're actually able to record to 2 separate devices. We can record to the computer and also to either of the micro USB, SD or USB drive. And like I said before, because we have that master page where on the channel overview, it gave me the facility to bypass all processing. The processing will still be live for my live cast, but the recording will go in dry, post and pre.
Unreal.
And just for the stores, as a last little point, it has a demo mode. We turn that on, and it can sit there and look all nice and flashy.
Come on.
And there, today, thank you, is the Mackie DLZ creator.
Unbelievable. Mate, I can't... We've got to have conversations. Oz, Taylor out the back, you were talking about the obnoxious guy that we don't want to talk over things. Well, that's why he's in the other room. But maybe we'll let him out in a bit, and we'll have to talk about this, because we're going to try to do a podcast, and it is interesting out there. There's a lot of choice out there. So thank you for coming and explaining it so thoroughly. And yeah, these are great. These worked out. And when are these going to turn up?
These are available now. I think the first shipment comes in literally in days. Yep. And also this one, as I said to you, It was released on the 18th of May. It was shipped around the 20th. Andertons, you've already done your first allocation, so thank you and well done on that. And I think we have our next allocation pretty soon.
Awesome.
But it's hot. I know I sound like a salesman now, but it's hard to not say this because it is. It's exciting times, and like I said, I hinted at it with the plug-in S type. It will evolve. You're buying a product that will evolve. So
fantastic. Thanks for being here, mate. And thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.